amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
But a former Senate Chief Whip, a biologist turned politician who ran for the Senate on the platform of the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, and later again, when the party merged to be APC, returned into the Senate. He later became the Senate Chief Whip, Professor Olushola Adeyeye. He joins us from our Lagos studio. Thank you, Professor, for joining us tonight. I guess we should begin from what we heard former President Olusegun Obasanjo, what he said. He said, if the ICPC and the EFCC were to have done their jobs properly, then some of the presidential hopefuls will be in jail by now. Let me get your reaction on that statement from the former president.
I happen to agree with the former president. We all, as Nigerians, often complain that there is wanton corruption in the land. But very few people have been found guilty by courts of competent jurisdiction. It is not enough to say there is corruption. The corruption must be proven in court. Until a court has found a person guilty, the presumption of innocence must be given. And for that reason, regardless of what I may think or what President Obasanjo may say, the truth is, whether you are competing for the presidency or not, whether you are aspiring for the presidency or not, a lot of criminals are walking the streets of Nigeria. We hope the day will come when the prosecution of corrupt people will be rapid and we can have a system where those who administer the affairs of this country will be people who don't only have skeletons in their cupboard, but whose very cupboard is the representation of a morgue.
That word is laden with a lot of, with a lot there, deep words there, but if you look at it now, the question is, how do we then identify the good people in office? There are a lot of people who have thrown their heart in the ring, and people will say, if you have held political office in the past, there is no way you can really say that you are totally clean. That is a school of thought for some people who say political office is laden with a lot of landmines. So how can Nigerians know who is best? Because coming from a former president, that most of the hopefuls, if the anti-corruption agencies were to have done their jobs well, some of them would have been in jail. That seems to be a very wide brush to have painted, a lot of people.
Unfortunately, many of them are not in jail precisely because the instruments that should have put them in jail were abused by people like President Obasanjo himself when he was in office. Because the truth of the matter was, the EFCC and other such agencies were used to harass people. For example, we know what happened in Anambra State. We remember what happened in Plateau State, when in fact, of an assembly of 24, where 2/3 were required to remove a governor. The legislators were taken out of state, essentially incarcerated, and a minority of them were used to remove a sitting governor. Contrary to the instrument of our constitution, we were all alive when Chris Nwabweze Ngige was not only removed from office, He was locked up in the toilet. He was lucky because the man who locked him up and who told this country that he was acting on orders was an assistant inspector general of police. I was in the House of Rep at the time. He was lucky because those who incarcerated Joshua Darie were not of that high rank. It was a sergeant who locked Darie, a man with constitutional immunity, up. So corruption, yes, stealing money is terrible. But stealing money is not the only form of corruption that we have in this country. Abusing the Constitution, in fact, is a worse form of corruption. So, personally, I wish that there is a way in which we can quickly sanitize this country. If you ask me, part of the problem is when I was in the civil service, by the grace of God, I ran to the level of a principal officer in the federal bureaucracy. I was a principal technologist. You could not travel and go and buy your own ticket if you were on an official trip. The UCH bought your ticket for you. The University of Ibadan bought your ticket for you. If you had to travel by rail, the system bought your ticket for you. When I was in the House of Rep, when I was in the Senate, hardly did anyone bought tickets for me. I was allowed to buy my own ticket. So if I wanted to be corrupt, I could inflate the price of the ticket and I could get receipt for the ticket. In fact, people complain about the money that politicians make in the National Assembly. Most of the things people say are in fact lies. I never got any money for wardrobe and all those things that you read about. People are getting 36 million naira per month. Never got anything like that. But I will be the first to tell you that we got many things that we ought not to get. Nobody should be given money to go and buy his own ticket. If you are going to be traveling to Portugal, the Nigerian embassy should meet you there with your ESTA code. If you didn't come, you shouldn't collect it. But right now, you get your money if you don't collect it, whether you travel or not. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes when you don't travel, you can produce fake receipts. There is the whole industry. And let's be honest, these things cannot be done solely by politicians. For every act of corruption that is committed by a politician, there is one, or there may be more than one civil servant who is aiding that politician. So that's the problem. We need to sanitize the system. We were hoping that somebody of the stellar character of Obasanjo and of even Buhari will come to office and cleanse the system. No, the system is still as dirty as we ever had it. As far back as 1978 and 79, Obafemi Awolowo, whose birthday, by the way, is today, campaigned through the length of this country. And among the things that Awolowo said was that Nigeria had one of the highest ESTA codes in the world. Awolowo also said that were he to become president for 4 years, he would not leave the shores of Nigeria. He said he would leave that duty to the Minister of External Affairs, and that in extraordinary circumstances, he might permit his vice president to travel. One of the easiest ways to steal money in Nigeria is through the ESTA code. When I was in the House of Rep, the ESTA code for a rep was then, I think, about $500 or $600 per night. At that time, the ESTA code per night for Ghana was $60. For South Africa, it was $80. For Egypt, it was $90. For Nigeria, it was, I think, 500 or 600. I don't quite remember. But when I was in the Senate, it was over $900. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, they are making so much money. Wait a minute. Ask yourself, what does a judge earn as ESTA code when he travels? How does that compare with a judge in Ghana or South Africa? What does a head of parastatal in Nigeria earn when he travels? How does it compare with a head of parastatal in Ghana or South Africa? These are ways in which we are stealing this country to the bones. And we must summon the courage, the honesty, and the patriotism to tell ourselves we must stop it. I think
Prof,
the simplest we can do. Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, so one we wonder when you talk about this. I mean, I've had conversations on national TV, and one we wonder what has become of the Stephen Ronsaye report about the Nigerian civil service. Well, let me take you to the APC, and the president has traveled, and he said, I mean, effectively, his vice is in control, is in charge, and it brings me to the choice, a difficult one that maybe your party may be confronted with, of the long list of presidential hopefuls in your party: the Bola Tinubu, the Yemi Osinbajo, the Oro Okorocha, the Orji Uzor Kalu, Umai, the governor of Cross River State. A long list of them. They are there in your political party. From your own point of view, you are no longer in the National Assembly, but you're watching from the sideline. How difficult will it be for your party? And considering what President Olusegun Obasanjo is talking about on the quality of aspirants or those who want to be Nigeria's president, does your party have that kind of character being described by former President Olusegun Obasanjo?
It doesn't matter what party you look at in Nigeria. People have a right to aspire to any office, so long as they have not been found guilty of an offense that will disqualify them. As far as I know in this country today, the only person who is not a criminal and who is disqualified from contesting for the office of president is Chief Aremu Olusegun Obasanjo, because by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he has been president for 2 terms of 8 years. He is disqualified. Any other politician who has not been found guilty by a court of law has a right to aspire. The more, the merrier. What is happening in APC with endless number of aspirants should happen in every other party. What we will hope for is that the process will be kept free and fair. So long as the process is kept free and fair, welcome to the club. That is the nature of democracy. In the best of climates, primary contest, the seeking for nomination of candidacy of your party is nothing but a family rivalry. That's how Barack Obama defined it. So if Tinubu wants to be president, why should he not want? If Osinbajo wants to be president, why should he not want? If Okorocha wants to be president, why should he not want? It is left to party members to choose the person they want. And if the party makes the wrong choice, one then prays that the citizenry at large will show them by rejecting their choice at a free and fair election. Tell you what, if I were younger, I would also throw my heart into the field. I have ideas. I believe that if I were younger, I will make a very great president for this country. But no, I've given up that ambition. Some of my Lisha Grammar School classmates will tell you, as far back as 1966, I told them that I would one day become the Prime Minister of Nigeria. That's what we had at that time. Now, I know I will never become Prime Minister, and I know I will not become President. But I don't have anything against any member of my party or any member of any other party who aspires to an office. Get to the field, canvass, put up your program. Let's hear what you want to offer this country. And if you are serious, let the people decide your fate.
What do you make of, I could say that you belong to that political family. Tinubu, Fayemi, Osinbajo. These are heavyweights in their own right. And these 3 have been mentioned and their names have been thrown up. Well, Bola Tinubu had already said it, that he wants to be president. And Osinbajo and Fayemi, it's just in the, at the level of conjectures, whether they want to run or not. But there are very strong names that have been mentioned in the race. What does it look like when from this kind of political family, three people, especially from the southwest. Is Bola Tinubu or Shibajo or Fayemi or who do you, in your own feeling and thinking, is best for your party to put forward? In a race that PDP or the alternative political parties are saying it will be a strong contest and the APC might not have an easy ride.
I pray that the APC does not have an easy ride, but I pray that the APC will win. I so do because when I recall 16 years of PDP, President Obanjo was talking about corruption. Let's ask him how much money did his government vote for road construction? And how many of those roads were constructed by the time he left office? When the time comes, we'll face each other and we'll ask each other questions. As for the names you have mentioned, as I said earlier on, each of them has the right to aspire to the highest office in the land. It is no secret that I've endorsed a particular person when I gave the speech on the new tribe in Kano. I'll be the first to tell you, in my lifetime, I have never met a person who was as prepared and as honest and as totally commitment to the advancement of the progress of Nigeria than the man whose birthday is today, Obafemi Awolowo. I resigned a level 12 job in the federal bureaucracy to go and take a level 9 job with the UPN because I was such a believer in Obafemi Awolowo. But at the end of the day, the Nigerian people chose not to vote for him, at least in 1979. Some of us believed that what happened in 1983 was nothing but barefaced rigging. But we let history take care of that. The important thing was, by the time he died, Dan Agbese first said it, Ojukwu re-echoed it, that Obafemi Awolowo was the greatest president Nigeria never had. So unfortunately, it needs to, sometimes, the best person does not win. I happen to believe that a particular person is the best. I believe that for being the vice president of the country, that he has had the exposure, he has the intellect, he has the guts, and I believe he has the mindset, the temperament to make a great president. However, and look, it all depends on the party. For example, would there be zoning or would there not be zoning? I've told everybody who will listen to me in this country, if there will be zoning, my own preference would be that the presidency should be zoned to an Igbo. Whether that Igbo is from the southeast or south, because there are people in rivers who are Igbos, there are people from Delta who are Igbos. But if there will not be zoning, my own candidate is Yemi Osinbajo. Having said that, I am extremely close to or with Kayode Fayemi. He and I were in the trenches. We traveled throughout the world and throughout Africa. He and I appeared before Canadian Parliament. He and I met President Joseph of Ghana. He and I went to Eritrea. He and I went to Oslo. He and I went to so many places fighting for democracy in this country. And I'm extremely proud of the good record that Kayode Fayemi has that for himself in Ekiti. I know Bola Tinubu very well. We were in the trenches. I believe there is no harder working political strategies in Nigeria than Bola Tinubu. I just so believe that when you weigh all the components together, my own preference is for Yemi Osinbajo. But the issue is that at the end of the day, the choice is not for me alone to make. Others will make their own choices. What I pray, especially for the members of my own party, is that in disagreeing with one another, they should not become disagreeable. By the way, are we saying that only the Yorubas in the APC are competent enough to be president? Oh, I love Rotimi Amechi. I've tried to get in touch with him for several weeks now without succeeding in getting in touch with him to know what his wishes are. I love Tunde Fashola. I believe Fashola will make a first-class president. Fashola, I don't think is keen. So I leave those who are not keen not to be keen. But the important thing is we have people who have put themselves forward. At the right time, we should ask them what their plans are for this country. And if we agree with them, we should elect them. That's my take on that.
Before we go on a break, I don't know how easy it will be for Ebola Tinubu, who was responsible for the merger of APC with other political parties, which in turn helped the APC, the ACN morphed into APC at the time with other political parties, and it helped Muhammad Buhari to become Nigeria's president. Now that he is very serious, because you see the consultation that he's making. If Anoshibajo, the vice president, is your preference, talking to Ebola Tinubu to step down for Anoshibajo, how easy would that be? What kind of consensus can that be? And how will your party go about it? It's perhaps going to be the most difficult task of asking Ebola Tinubu to step down, is it?
I just said that in any democracy, party primary is nothing but a rivalry that sometimes, a rivalry between siblings that sometimes can be very fierce. It's not going to be easy if Bola Tinubu wants to be president. The last time he and I spoke, he actually told me that he was not keen on being president, but he has a right to change his mind. And if he wants to be president, he has a right to aspire to that office. Other Nigerians also have the right to aspire to that office. I've read copiously in the newspapers that there was an agreement between Bola Tinubu and Muhammadu Buhari on who will become president after the other. Who gave the two of them the authority to take that decision on behalf of the rest of us who are members of the party? I was a member of the UPN. I was a very effective member of the UPN. I wrote speeches for Bola Ige when Bola Ige was governor, because before some of these people later became governor. So am I a neophyte in politics? Of course I'm not. When Bola Ige announced here in Lagos that he wanted to be president, the speech he read there, I wrote it. When Bola Ige faced the Yoruba convention in Atlanta and enunciated his plan, the speech he wrote, the speech he read, I wrote it. So if Buhari and Tinubu now had a part between them, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, that's not a part of the party. Nobody announced it to the party. Tinubu is a fantastically hardworking human being. He has a right to aspire to that office. But that office will not be given solely because of a private arrangement between two people. Where in the world do you do that? Look, Oshibajo is the vice president to Buhari. I pray that Buhari would support Oshibajo. But it's not a given. In the US, sometimes the vice president emerges as the candidate of his party. Sometimes he does not. When the president of the USA, Joseph Biden, saw that he might not win the primary of his party, he withdrew and allowed Hillary Clinton to win. But what happened?
All right,
Clinton
Prof.
lost. 4 years later, he's back.
Prof,
yes, did you call me? Yes.
We need to take a break. I have two more questions to wrap up with you, but we'll conclude when we come back from this break. Let's take a break. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Our concluding moments now with former Senate Chief Whip, Professor Olushola Adeyeye, who is in our Lagos studio. Thank you, Prof. I have two questions just before we wrap up. And one is still about APC and what is looking like a turbulent period for your party in terms of leadership and going into the convention. It will be a make or mar. Some people have described the situation. What are your biggest fears as your party go? I mean, it's the convention is in another 20 days.
My biggest fear is that we may have a convention that is so cantankerous that at the end we probably implode. I'm praying to God that that will not happen. Because should we implode, what we will have in the country is a de facto one-party system, and that's the PDP. And for all that people have blamed the APC about, the truth of the matter is that the record of the PDP during their years in government, especially their latter years, are not much that anybody should recommend to our republic. So I pray that no matter what, that we will have a fierce primary, somebody will emerge, and whoever emerges, all of us should bury the hatchet, forgive each other, and come together. If Fayemi is the candidate of my party, Fayemi knows he has my support. If Bola Tinubu is the candidate of my party, Bola Tinubu, I believe, knows that he will have my support. If somebody whose name has not even been thrown into the hat right now, such as Ibikunle Amosun, such as Rotimi Amechi, so long as it's from my party, honestly, I believe I will support. There are 2 or 3 or 4 people whose names have been heard that I can never support. At that point, if any of such people should emerge, and don't ask me who they are, in that case, I will not vote for them. I remember that, I think it was the year
Although I told you that I have 2 more questions,
yes.
But now that you said I should not ask you, sometimes I like to dare. I want to ask, who are these 4 people that you will
one of them is Seun Okinbaloye. One of them is Seun Okinbaloye.
No, I don't belong to your political party.
What party do you
belong
to?
Now.
What party do you belong to?
I don't know if I ever want to. Channels Television Party.
God bless you.
Journalism Party.
Seriously speaking, in 2003, I was the only person in the federal local government of Osun State who voted for MD Yusuf, because I thought he ran the best campaign in that year. It was not a very expensive campaign, but the advertisements he published and the things he said, at the end, I had to choose between MD Yusuf and the late Gani Fawemi. I knew that neither of them would win the election. I knew that there were some of my relatives and friends who would vote for Gani Fawemi. So for the sentiment of it, I voted for MD Yusuf, and he was the only vote he got from my local government. And until he died, I always told him, I was the one man who voted for you in Ifedayo. Look, at the end of the day, that's democracy. If the process is kept free and fair, may the best person win, and may God give the Nigerian people the wisdom to choose right.
Prof, let's wrap up now. And I want to take you back home. I'm not talking about, all right, Gomino, your village or your hometown.
Not a village. All right, it's a town pronounced so by the British in 1896. When the British came to Osun in 1896, the first place where they met a man who could speak English was Orai Gomina.
I hope I'm not triggered a history lesson.
All right, you can continue.
Interestingly, we are from the same area.
Yes.
Although I'm from the north, you are from the southwest.
Yes, that's the nonsense that Don Lugard did.
But it's interesting anyway. That's the interesting nature of our nation, Nigeria.
Sure.
Well, let's, in 30 seconds, if you can give us an understanding of what is happening in Osun State politics. What could have gone wrong between Aregbesola and Governor Oyetola? So much that it does put a very big question mark on the chances of your party at the governorship election. In 30 seconds, can you unpack it for us?
I cannot unpack it in 30 seconds because I am one of the closest persons in Osun to Aregbesola. And during that period, honestly, I was also very, very close to Oyetola. I, for one, I've never hidden the fact that I'm for Oyetola being return as the candidate of our party. I've never hidden it to anybody I spoke with, either publicly or privately. Having said that, I'm not an idiot. My father did not give birth to a buffoon. I know that the last time we had it tough when we were not united. I also know that we might have it tough again if we are not united. But I'm confident that against all the odds, we will be united. I'm praying that the PDP will again choose a candidate that the people of Osun will know will be too risky to rule them. And Uitola will return as the governor of Osun State.
Because we are totally out of time for this segment speaking with you, it would have been interesting to dig deeper. But I guess we should be able to have you some other time to talk about Osun politics and what really happened between your friend Aregbesola and the governor Oyetola. But
both of them are my friends.
Most sincerely. Oh yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Olushola, former Senate Chief Whip, for talking to us tonight. It's indeed a pleasure, and it's good to see you again after such a long time.
God bless you, Sheon. This is my first interview since I left the Senate. God bless you.
Wow. Wow. It's good to hear you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remember blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.